Welcome in, everybody. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, welcome into a podcast about movies. I am Jacob Barber, joined as always by Austin Howell. Austin, how's it going?
No, I'm back from a weekend of working a wrestling show down in Florida, doing a little road trip, hanging out with some friends. But I am back, sir. And of course, what's the first thing I do as soon as I get in? I get ready to do a YouTube show because that's my life right now. It's like I'm back and I'm back on the computer, so it's like I
Yeah.
never left.
I feel it between this and now comedy. Like that's pretty much.
Yeah, right.
All
I
I
know.
do.
I'm with the world famous Jacob Barber on the Seattle comedy scene right now. Yeah, what's going on?
No, I haven't performed in Seattle yet. I will be performing. It's a funny story too because so I've been performing at a local open mic and I actually host it. Because the other guy didn't want to, and I was like, "Well, fine, I'll do it. No big deal."
All right.
Gets me out there, gets me known. Like whatever, cool, I'll do it. I'll take the exposure. Um, and so we had a special guest host last week who actually booked my friend Derek on the show in Seattle. And then when he introduced me, because I was just doing a normal set, when he introduced me as being on that show too, and I'm like. I think he confused the two of us. It's weird too because like we look nothing alike. Like my friend Derek, he's got like this super long hair, wears shorts everywhere, and like we look nothing alike. So he introduces me, and then like I do my set. It's a good set. I come off, and he's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry about mixing you two up, but if you can get there, I can give you 5 minutes." And I'm like. Of course I'll take that. So yeah, I lucked into it, but it's like he wouldn't have offered me the 5 minutes either if like I wasn't funny.
If
I wasn't doing a good job. So I feel like I still kind of earned it, but I also kind of lucked into it a little bit. But hey, sometimes you need a little bit of luck.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a lot of it is right place, right time kind of stuff for sure.
I hope to become as big in comedy as you are in refereeing. Like, hey, it's because it's been like what? How long? Because you're not a full-time ref anymore.
No, not anymore. Like at my peak, which I would say was probably like early 2010s or something, I was working just about every independent promotion in Florida that you could probably work for. Like I was deep in it and doing, almost like 2 shows every weekend, or we were doing these road trips and yeah. But I mean, I was basically working for everybody. But yeah, now it's like I've been doing it since 2006 or so, something like that. This is the only one I really go back for now. There's nothing going on in the Asheville area. Asheville used to be like a, wrestling mecca back in the 80s or something like that. But yeah, it just kind of trailed off since back in the day. But yeah, that's the only one I really go back for. But I've been doing it a long time. Yeah, a real long time.
I have to ask, did you take any bumps this weekend?
No bumps this weekend. No, we were part of like a little scrum after a match, like one of those classic like pull apart brawls you see on like WWE, where the one guy gets loose and the other guy, but nothing crazy. With Bobby Fish, I thought he was gonna like give me a leg kick or something. That would have been fun. But no bumps this weekend. We'll see about next time.
Right. So. And then I do have one more question because I did see that you posted on Facebook, and I don't know if you chose this for your '99 movie, but maybe how was it seeing The Mummy in theaters?
Oh no, I saw it when it came out in '99, so it wasn't my first time seeing it on the big screen because I do remember distinctly seeing it in '99 when it came out at my theater up the road for me. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun, and that's again, I might go see it again on Wednesday night, just being honest, because it's not going to be the only time it's going to be in my brain. It's going to be in my brain all week because I got 2 other shows that I could plug that I will be talking more about The Mummy this week. So, but it was nice to do like my official rewatch on the big screen. That was fun. And yeah, it's that movie's always a blast. So anytime I get to talk about that, maybe we'll talk about it on our 99 show. I don't know. We'll see. I won't subject you to that if you don't want to, but no, 99, there's no shortage of movies to choose from.
It's so hard to choose 2.
Yeah, we might have to do like a part 1 and a part 2 for
99. We might have to.
So many damn movies. There's so much stuff, so we might have to. It's our show. We can do whatever we want. Right. If we want to do 2 parts or 3 parts, it doesn't matter. We can do as many parts as we want. Exactly. But we're not talking about 1999. We're talking about 1974.
We are. We're talking about 1974. And but before people are like, why didn't you talk about The Godfather 2? Well, that would have probably taken the whole episode, and we didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Could have talked about The Godfather 2, but that's
We
a,
talked a little bit about The Godfather 2 when we did The Godfather. We talked a
we
little bit
did,
about
yeah.
Godfather 2 on there. So we covered some of that because we were kind of comparing and contrasting those movies. And while I'm like not as high on Godfather 2 as I am Godfather 1, it's still amazing. And I saw it again in theaters recently and it was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still gonna be Godfather 1 over Godfather 2 for me
Oh yeah,
personally.
for sure.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I just ate lunch too, so I'm a little.
Yeah.
It's still in there.
Yeah.
And I was looking it up, and I didn't realize that one of the movies that we chose was actually tied for The Godfather Part 2 as far as Oscar nominations. I was kind of looking it up.
Yeah, 11 for Chinatown.
11
Yeah,
for
because I was
Chinatown.
listening to a podcast on the way home actually about Chinatown, just
Oh,
kind of
nice.
keeping it fresh in my brain, and also trying to understand the plot a little bit more. So yeah, because we'll talk about it. It's a little tricky, a little complicated. Oh, we're gonna talk about it first.
We can, yeah, we can get into
Yeah,
it
yeah.
now since since like you said it's fresh on your brain. I watched it yesterday, so it's a little.
Yeah. No, I watched it like last Thursday, I think, but I was listening to a podcast just to kind of keep it fresh in my brain. And yeah, it's a very dense movie. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of revelations and twists and turns. But it's a fascinating movie because it's this noir that's made in the 70s but set in the 30s. And but I think everybody plays it really well. And it's different from the usual noirs, Jacob. It's like all the old school ones, and some of the ones you see are very like mostly at night. This one's a daytime movie. There's a lot of daytime stuff in this movie, not a lot of nighttime stuff.
Yeah.
Really, till you get to the end, the actual Chinatown stuff at the end. Very daytime, very strange for a noir.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't really have much knowledge on like film noirs. I haven't seen a lot of them, so that's interesting to know. I do want to get into it because I did really enjoy this. I probably need to give this a rewatch too, though. Like you said, it's a very dense movie. There's a lot going on. There were times where I was like, I had to look at my phone, and I looked up, I was like, oh shoot, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Probably did. So I need to it's one of those movies that I need to have no distractions when I'm watching it. Because like you said, there's a lot going on. But I do, like you said, I think everyone played it really well. I think Jack Nicholson is fantastic. He was really good in the 70s. Jack Nicholson was.
Dude, he had a hell of a streak in the 70s. This was one of his big breakouts though, because he had some meaty roles. Like Easy Rider is really kind of his breakout in 69. Again, kind of that new revolution of cinema going into the 70s. He has a supporting role in there. He did like the Five Easy Pieces was like a big one for him. He had a couple of movies, and then the double shot of this and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest back to back was like cemented him as a big time A-lister. You know what I mean? Because this movie was a hit, got a lot of Oscar nominations. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was a hit and got a lot of Oscar nominations. So I mean, the back to back of that really shot him up into the stratosphere. But yeah, he definitely proved he could be a leading man. Faye Dunaway was very big around this time too. I mean, she had done Bonnie and Clyde a few years before, and she was already kind of established there.
Yeah, both nominated for this movie, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
There was not to step away from this movie, but there's a nomination from one of these movies that we're going to talk about that I was actually very surprised at, and I'll let you know what it is when we get there. When I was looking at it, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool though. I like that. Chinatown, I thought it was directed really well. I think it deserves the nominations it got, but like you said, there's just a lot going on that I feel like I need to give it a rewatch because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it was like the end, towards the end when it's like, she's my daughter, she's my sister. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh no, that's one of the big things. If you don't know that going in, and the first time I saw this, I think I saw it back in 2014 for the 40th anniversary. I saw it in theaters. That was the first time I watched it. If you don't know, kind of spoiler alert, I guess, definitely for this thing. But there's a revelation that, there's a younger girl in the movie that you think is like Faye Dunaway's daughter, but it's also her sister because their dad like knocked her up, and it's this incestuous like weird thing, and she's got this like weird relationship with her dad, but she also has a husband that's murdered, and that maybe she was present for, maybe she wasn't. You don't quite know what the truth is in this movie for a lot of the stuff that comes out, like who's telling the truth and when. There's a lot of people lying to each other. Even Nicholson is like lying to her later in the movie about meeting with the dad and like, and not telling her that. And, everybody's got their little secrets in this movie. There's the stuff with the water politics of LA, which is based on real stuff, Jacob, from like the 20s about the water politics where they ran this aqueduct like into LA, which is why LA is so widespread like geographically, because they were running all this water in from like other valleys and things like that. But there was real like water wars even to this day. There's something about a dam being built, and you're not quite sure like exactly who's behind that and who's like the money guy and who's pushing in, and if somebody was murdered because of that. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's never boring. Like it's always intriguing. Like sometimes you're like, okay, I don't quite know exactly who's doing what, but like I'm entertained. I'm invested.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree completely. Like I said, Jack Nicholson. Yeah, I was just looking it up. It is, he did a lot before this, but like, yeah, this is kind of like his breakout role, because I'm looking at it and like, I don't remember.
All the stuff he did in the 60s was like all Roger Corman stuff. Like you can go back. There's a public domain movie called The Terror with him and Boris Karloff. That's like a public domain movie. And yeah, he's like in it, and he's in some other stuff in the 60s, but it's all these like B movies, just a ton of B stuff. And like I say, it's not until Easy Rider in 69 where he kind of starts to break out, because he gets noticed for that. And then, the 70s is his big, like blowing up decade wise, and he really starts to get famous.
Yeah, like you said, between this and then One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's a great
great little double back to back. Yeah. No, some good decisions there.
Spoilers. We might be talking about that movie next year. I love.
Yeah, maybe. No, it's a good movie. I've been meaning to revisit. That's another one I've seen in the theaters. Actually, that was I had a privilege to see that. I think the year after. I think I saw it in 2015 for the anniversary. Like some of these, I was very fortunate that my Cinemark theater near me like did pretty good classic series every year. Like they would show like movies for like 6 weeks straight, like back, one movie, 1 week, boom, 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 boom. They take like a month off, and then they started over again with a whole new batch of movies. And it was a lot of classic movies that I had never seen that I got to see in the theater for like the first time for, which makes a difference with stuff like 2001 or The Bridge on the River Kwai, or I saw The Godfather in theater. Like got to see a lot of stuff back then. So, and this is one of them, like I said. And it's a beautiful looking movie. All the daytime shots are great. Yeah, it's a good LA movie. There's even some good like chase scenes and some good like kind of fights and some scrums, that happen here. But yeah, it's a very dense noir. But I don't know if you're supposed to even really know what's going on by the end, because that's the theme of the movie. The final line sums up the movie. The final line of forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. Like you're just supposed to be like, dude, it's way over your head. It's way more complicated than you'll ever figure out. The more you dig in, the more you're not going to understand. Like that's the theme of the movie. It's like, forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. You're never going to understand what the hell's going on.
Right. Yeah. I also like some of the other actors that popped up. John Huston, James Hong as the what is he? The butler or whatever. James Hong.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot to do. It's cool to see him. And then
little Burt Young pre-Rocky.
Burt Young, he was the other one. Yeah. As Curly, even though he's balding. That's great. I always love when bald men are named Curly.
That's a very noir thing. Like somebody gave him that nickname at some point, but you never really explain it. It's just kind of there.
Yeah, and then I watched this on Amazon Prime and Paramount. So if there are people that haven't seen it, it is streaming and it is available to watch. I really like this, even though I didn't know what was going on half the time. But like you said, maybe you're not supposed to. I think that's where it gets me like, well, now I want to rewatch it and see if I can pick up on things that maybe I didn't the first time. And I think that's the sign of a good movie. I will say, I think we picked a great foursome of movies this time. There wasn't one that I did not like.
There you go.
So yeah, we chose wisely.
We chose wisely. Yes.
Yeah, because I had seen everything else that we chose. So a lot of these next three were all rewatches for him, and actually I rewatched them all this morning.
Oh, okay. Back to back. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, two of them make sense to watch back to back. Like they blend just fine. The other one's the oddball.
Right.
Of
I watched that one
in
first.
Right. I was gonna say watch that one first or last, because the other two work great as a double feature,
They
you know,
really
because
do.
they're just silly Mel Brooks movies. We'll talk about them. But yeah, the other one is the oddball.
And that is
Yeah,
the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, which we talked about the remake a few weeks ago.
Sure
that was one of the movies that you chose for your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm coming around to a little bit. I said on the episode that I wasn't the biggest fan, but the more I thought about it, I was like, no, I do appreciate that they made some
Mm-hmm.
differences, because I don't like when things are a shot for shot remake. Looking at you, Lion King.
It's okay to take some liberties and do some new things while keeping the same general premise. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can change some stuff. It's okay. Like shot for shot remakes just look at Psycho 98. It just doesn't work. You know, you need to do some things differently.
So also spoilers for 2019. The Lion King will probably not be chosen.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Get to those 5 years ago movies. Yeah, we're not going to do that Lion King remake. No, thanks.
Yeah, no, I rewatched this one, and yeah, like I said, I didn't necessarily like that the remake was so dark, but no, I like the thinking about it. Rewatching this, like no, I like the differences. Like this one, it's mostly daytime, and until like the towards the end of the movie, it's nice and bright.
Yeah.
Whereas, so I'm coming around to that difference, but no, I don't. There's a certain member of this channel who does not like this movie.
Yes.
I don't get it, because rewatching this, like I had previously rated this movie a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
After this most recent rewatch, I bumped it up because I was like, I can't think of anything wrong with this movie. I think it's a nearly perfect horror movie for what it is. I mean, you're the horror expert, so I'll go ahead and let you speak on this. What are your thoughts on Texas?
No, I love how just this movie it feels raw. Like it feels like a kind of some movie you're not supposed to be watching, but it's way more meticulously done than you would think on like kind of a first examination, because everything that's done here is deliberate by Tobe Hooper. Like it deliberately looks a little rough, it deliberately like it kind of feels not like it feels like a student film or anything, but it feels like it's got like kind of a guerrilla style, to it, the way it's shot. But it's still but it's way too beautiful looking to be, like accidental. Cause some of those shots where there's one shot where Sally's walking up to the house and it's kind of shot from like this low angle. It's gorgeous. There's gorgeous cinematography in this movie. They use the location setting, this like Texas setting, like very, very well. Shots of the house are great. Yeah. Some of the stuff they get with the sunsets and whatnot and the sunrises are phenomenal. I think the only thing people, even horror fans really nitpick about this is like Franklin is a little annoying at the beginning of the movie, the guy in the wheelchair. But again, what I appreciate is about my love of the 70s movies is that he gets knocked off. Even the dude in the wheelchair gets knocked off, and it's like, nope, we're not going to take it easy on you just because you're in a wheelchair. Like you're gone, and anything could happen in these movies, and that's what I love. But this movie has enough of the raw like horror, but then it has a little bit of like really dark humor in the second half, to kind of like ease it up a little bit. But then it gets back to the horror and it gets scary again, and that's what I kind of love. But there's a lot of really deliberate stuff in here, and I've always cited the actual sequence, I think, in the hallway, like the first Leatherface attack, is just better done in this movie than the other one, than the remake, because it just comes out of nowhere, because you're just following this dude like wandering the house. He's like peeking into rooms. He's like wandering through the kitchen. And then all of a sudden he like trips on something. And then he looks up and Leatherface is just right there in that pose, like with the hammer. And it's whack. And then, down, grab him, pull him, slam the door, boom. And then the music cue, you know what I mean? Like it's so deliberate and it comes out of nowhere. It almost, when it hits you, Jacob, you're like, wait, what just happened? Like, where did this dude come from? Oh my god. Like, who is this guy? He just comes out of nowhere because all you see is the door. It's the first time you even see the door, and then like 4 seconds later, he's out of the door doing his thing, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know who this guy is, who he was. And it just hits you like a freight train. And I think it's great. And then from there, you're like, oh my god, anything can happen in this movie. Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, I really like that shot too, because like I don't think they didn't play it up with like the music either.
No, there's like a music sting at the end after he slams the door. It's like, but like only to to let you settle in on what just happened. You know, it's all silent.
Like, it's a legit jump scare that feels earned, and not one where like the music is swelling. Like, all right, what's coming? Like we see it, and then I mean, and it serves him right too. Like these guys broke into this house. Like you don't just walk into somebody's house. I'm gonna put that like they kind of. I don't know if they deserve to die, but like you just don't break into somebody's house.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
That disgusting house. The house is gross.
The house is
I think this house is. I think this house is so much more viscerally gross than the remake one, because the remake to me feels like, and again, I'm not going to remake too much because I like that movie, but like the remake one feels like fake gross. This one feels like real gross, like because you see like these animal bones and you just see like all these feathers on the ground and like you see all the rotted meat and you see some like maggots and you're just like you can almost smell the house like through the screen. You're just like and why? Because a lot of that was real because it was the 70s. So it's like we got real like rotted bones of like just stuff and like rotted meat and just all this and it's just disgusting, like just walking around this house. And like if I saw that, I would immediately leave that. I couldn't handle it because the smell would just be overwhelming. It's gross. But yeah, of course they're stupid, so they walk through the house and they're tumbling around but when it goes down, like when Leatherface is kind of revealed and he grabs the one girl and like puts her on the hook, like it just happens so quick. Again, you don't even really know what's happening, and it's not as graphic as you think it's going to be because you never actually see the hook go in, which is a misnomer in this movie. You kind of cut the way they cut it. It's just so like it's just so visceral that you're just like, oh my god, did she just get hung up on a hook? Like what is happening here?
Yeah, it is. I really enjoyed, which is a weird thing to say about this movie. This most recent rewatch, because I was finding things that I didn't really see before. Like, there is no, like I said, music that lets you know, like, hey, something's about to happen. Like it's like legit. Like, oh my goodness. Even though you know it's coming, like you don't know like when on the rewatch. If this was your first time watching, like, man, this is one of those movies where I wish I could watch it again for the first time. Knowing. And then I love the end of the movie with when Sally gets taken to the house and all the stuff at the dinner table.
See, that's where the dark, like weird humor comes in. Yeah, because it's like she wakes up and after a great chase sequence, by the way, there's two different chase sequences, but yeah, like the sound design they use in this thing. If you've never seen this in a theater, and I've been lucky to see it twice in a theater, especially with the surround sound in a theater, those chase sequences again, there's no score like during it. It's just the sound of the chainsaw, and it gets into your head of just like. It just burns in your brain that like there's danger coming, and it's one of those sounds that just grinds on you and is deliberate with that thing, just constantly the revving and the like, and it's great. But you cut some of that tension with this like weird dinner scene, and you got Jim Seidow, who's great in this movie, and he's great in the sequel as well. If you've never seen Texas Chain Saw 2, as the cook, that one's a little more wacky, or like more of like almost like just a dark comedy, a little less straight horror, but he's great in both movies as the cook guy, and you realize you get this weird dynamic with the family where Leatherface seems like the super dangerous guy, but then at the same time the cook, like the head of the family, is like whacking him with the broom and he's, get the hell in there, what are you doing, pick her up there. And he's just like it's kind of funny, and it's like becomes this weird comedic thing. But you got the hitchhiker guy who's weird, and then they wheel out a a guy who you think is just like a corpse, and then it's his grandpa, and he sucks some blood, and he comes back to life, and like, oh, grandpa used to be the best killer in the slaughterhouse, man. You know, like, the scene where he's trying to like hit her with the hammer, like it's bizarre, but it's kind of funny, but it's also horrifying at the same time when she's just like sitting there while the dude's about to whack her like over and over again. Like it's properly bizarre to where there's been really nothing like it, and there's been so many people who have kind of tried to imitate it, and I'm including Rob Zombie in that. And I love House of a Thousand Corpses, but it owes everything to this movie. Yeah. What they do in that movie with all the wacky characters and the set design and everything. But yeah, there's really never been anything like it, and especially if you've never seen this movie, to watch it the first time, it's unlike any horror movie you'll ever see. Like the way it just kind of bounces all over the place in a good way.
Yeah, I remember too. I had to laugh out loud a little bit about the sound that they used when he was hitting her with the broom.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's not what a broom sounds like when it hits somebody, but I like it.
Yeah,
yeah, and then I love the end of this movie, like you said, when she jumps out the window.
Yes,
like she's just gonna do whatever she can to get away, if it means cutting herself with glass, and she's running, she's limping. They got the bloody arm and stuff, and then what's his name is chasing her and ends up getting hit by a semi truck. Rightfully so. Bye. And then we see the Leatherface, and then it ends with that iconic shot of him just swinging
the thing around and around, but right in front of that golden hour shot of like the sunrise, like, and it's an amazing shot. So and that good. Again, that's how it's not as haphazardly shot as people kind of dismiss it as sometimes, because like that shot is iconic. Like it's amazing. And even the stuff before that where she like is about to get in the truck with the guy and the dude sees him and he like runs away, and all day he's like, nope, I'm out of here. Like he, all the craziness going in, and she's the shot of her like laughing in the back of the pickup truck, while she's all bloody and kind of just exhausted, and she just starts laughing because it's just not like she thinks it's funny. It's just that release of the tension, of thinking you're going to get away now. And it's incredible. And man, this movie's like a tight 83 minutes that you forget about when you go watch it. Like it's just tight from start to finish. And once it gets going, it just never stops. It's great.
Yeah. I was just looking it up too. The budget for this movie, it said $80,000 to $140,000. If you adjust that for inflation for today, it's still only I went the low end, so I went 80,000. It's just over $500,000. So they made this on a very small budget, but it looks amazing. Yeah, and I love the cinematography for this. And like you said, that final shot in front of the sunshine. Yeah. I wish I could see that on the big screen. I don't think it's playing at my theater, my real theater, not the one that just has the one screen, is starting to do more of these, classic movies. Yeah, they're doing all three Lord of the Rings movies over a weekend, so I might go do that. It's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday thing, because I missed the chance to see those on the big screen. But those aren't celebrating any anniversary, so I'm not sure why they're choosing to do that. Maybe because. Why not?
Mine's doing it too. I think it's just a nationwide thing they're just doing. They seem to put those. I swear last year they played them last year as well. Like over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks, they played like one every week over the course of 3 weeks. So I don't know. I think they just get play a lot because people show up for it.
Right. So and it's weird too. Like it's not even the beginning of summer. Like kids are still in school, so I don't know why they're doing it. But I'm not against it because I missed those in theater. So this would actually be my first time seeing them. I would love to see this one in the theater, especially for that last shot, like you said, being able to see that.
And the sound design, in the theater is great. If you get to a good one with good sound, it's worth it just for those like chase sequences and the chainsaws. Yeah. It's so pivotal to why this movie works. Is it just it gets under your skin, and it's really, really good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like I said, I had to bump this up. I had it at a 4.5. I bumped it up to a 5. Like I can't think of a much wrong with this movie. I think it's great. doesn't quite beat out Halloween as my favorite horror movie, or even The Fly. But like
Right.
I could see myself, like, if I had to, because I've never really sat down and ranked like my favorite horror movies,
Mm-hmm.
but I could see myself putting this top 10, maybe even top 5.
Okay.
I really
Good to
liked it.
know. Awesome.
So,
No, it's
yeah.
good stuff. No, my
It is.
shirt, by the way, is a
Oh,
family
nice.
portrait of all the family. Leatherface and the cook and the hitchhiker. Yeah. So it's about
Also,
the meat.
I don't know. I can't remember the name of the group or the YouTube channel that does it, but it's that group that does like all those horror villains, and they make like parody songs.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I
yeah,
think we've
yeah.
used
We played
Leatherface before.
the look of the flick of the wrist of the Freddy thing,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, they did a Backstreet Boys song too, and I can't remember
Mhm.
like what it was called, but I re-listened to Millennium because of my birthday episode, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, the album is still really good.
It's really good.
It's still really good. It's funny that we transitioned from Texas Chainsaw to Backstreet Boys,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
um,
Well, naturally.
it is what it is. All right, so I figured for this next one, we might as well talk about them together, but
Okay.
we'll obviously we'll dive into both of them, but because it's a Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder, and funny enough, also Madeline Kahn was in
She's in both.
both.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. I forgot that both of these came out in '74 because Blazing Saddles is your favorite Mel Brooks,
Yes.
and Young
Yes.
Frankenstein is my favorite
Well, there you
Mel
go.
Brooks. So it's just cool that it worked out this way.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I think it's because Blazing Saddles came out like early
I,
'74, and I
I
think Young
looked it up. Yeah,
Frankenstein came out in like December or something. It
yeah,
just
Young
squeaked in there.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blazing Saddles was February. I
Hmm.
looked at that. I was like, how close together were these? But it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
one kicked off the year, one
Hmm.
ended the year, which is you know amazing to me that Blazing Saddles came out in February and it was still nominated. It still got 3 Oscar nominations. Madeline Kahn was nominated for supporting actress for this movie, which
Oh wow.
when I looked that up, I was like, oh, okay, like, because she's not in the movie for a long time.
Yeah.
She's still a pretty memorable part of the movie. And then Blazing Saddles was nominated for best song. And then what else did they get? Uh, I can't find it. What else did they get?
Nominated for 3 Oscars. Madeline Kahn, editing and song.
Editing. That was it. Editing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which when I looked it up and thinking about the movie, I was just like, yeah, no, I get that. I think it's really well edited.
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein got 2. They got best sound,
Hmm.
and then they also got I think screenplay.
Yeah.
Adapt what is now known as adapted screenplay.
Hmm.
So I didn't realize that we picked such Oscar worthy movies
That's right.
here.
You don't see a ton of comedies. I mean, they used to back then, but not anymore now. Like the comedies used to get nominated for more stuff back then if they were, at least really well done. But yeah, nowadays, like you hardly ever see a comedy get
Right.
any kind of accolades, really, like or Oscar accolades, unless it's like a dramedy or something, like a
Yeah.
comedy with some drama in it or something. But yeah, I mean, like it's a rarity.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, what was the last straight up comedy to get like big nominations, and
I
I
don't
can't.
remember.
So,
Yeah, I
but
don't know.
what is it about Blazing Saddles that makes it your sort of like your favorite Mel Brooks? And I don't even like, where does it rank like as far as comedies too?
It's my favorite, number one.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I
it's
thought.
number one. Yeah, it's number one. Animal House is like number two. I mean, I could go through it, but yeah, something like that. Yeah, and the thing that my top two have in common, and I've talked about this before, but it's me and my dad's favorite comedy. So
Mm,
it's a dad thing, it's a two comedies that we like really bonded over. When I was old enough to finally watch it, like he showed it to me, I really liked it. I was starting to get into westerns and stuff too, so it's an easy way to kind of get into westerns as well because it's kind of a send up of a lot of stuff, the tropes and whatnot.
yeah,
And yeah, I just think think like it had the right combination. The time I saw it of like just funny dialogue, but like wacky characters, a lot of that Mel Brooks like silliness going on. There's very silly stuff in this movie, but there's slapsticky things. There's the farting scene is like very famous, but and that's the stuff the kids could get in. But when you get older, you pick up on more of the social commentary humor, and pick up a little more of the references and whatnot. Stuff like the Randolph Scott stuff is like funny when you then realize it. Like there's a guy named Randolph Scott who did a bunch of westerns like back in the day, and so when they're all salute Randolph Scott. Anyway,
I never got that until now. So
it's a guy who was in a bunch of westerns like back in the 50s. So yeah, Randolph Scott is like he was kind of like it was much lighter westerns, like very very light stuff, like even lighter than the John Wayne stuff. But yeah, like those are funny little references. You get a little more of just again, the humor about like the Irish and stuff, just like goofy stuff like that's really fun. You pick up on more of the supporting characters that you see in other Mel Brooks movies that are all over the place. You get like like Harvey Corbin's great in here, and Slim Pickens, and Burton Gilliam, who's Lyle in this movie. Like I never pieced together for a long time that he's the same guy in Back to the Future 3 who like has the shooting booth. And then if you remember, where he's try the Colt Peacemaker, like that guy. That's the dude from Blazing Saddles here. So again, Robert Zemeckis is a fan of westerns and western actors, so he's got a ton of those people in like that third movie, because it's just all these people that were in different westerns and whatnot. But yeah, it's just the combination of silliness and wacky characters, and everything just kind of clicks like from the opening. Yeah, the music is fun. I think the performances just in general are fantastic. Like I think Cleavon Little's great. Like it was really supposed to be Richard Pryor. This was supposed to be like the OG Richard Pryor Gene Wilder movie, or would have been. And actually neither Cleavon Little nor Gene Wilder were supposed to be in this movie originally. It was supposed to be Richard Pryor. I forget who was going to be instead of Wilder, but Wilder was a last minute thing too, and he didn't want to do the movie initially, but Mo Brooks kind of convinced him. It was a total last minute thing where he came on like a week before the movie was going to get started or something like that, and played the Waco kid. But yeah, I love their chemistry. Like I think they're just great. They have great buddy chemistry just in those little scenes where they're playing chess, or they're just talking about the town folks and whatnot. And I like the fact that he's just this chilled, laid back guy who just gets it, and so they just bond instantly because he's not, he doesn't see race or color. It's just like, oh, you're just like we're both just like cool dudes, like just living our lives or whatever, just trying to do our thing. Okay, cool, yeah, let's be friends in this wacky town. And yeah, everybody that pops up is just so much fun, and it has that right combination of like smart humor and silly humor, and I think it just works for me.
Yeah, I looked it up. Says Brooks offered the other leading role to John Wayne, who declined, deeming the film too blue for his family-oriented image. After that, Dan Daly was Brooks' first choice for the real role.
Yeah.
Gig Young was cast, but he collapsed during his first scene from what was later determined to be alcohol withdrawal syndrome. And then Gene Wilder was flown in to replace
Which,
him.
oddly enough, the character itself is going through like kind of an alcohol withdrawal in the movie, because he's like drinking heavily, and then he finally like gives it up, and doesn't drink anymore, and kind of straightens out a little bit. So oddly enough, like that's a weird thing with the character as well. So yeah, I knew both of them basically were not the first choices, because Pryor wrote some of the script with Brooks as well. He was collaborating with him on the actual script initially in the pre-production, and then just for whatever reason, I forget the reason, but he just wasn't actually in the movie. So they got Cleavon, who was way lesser known, obviously, at that point. But Slim Pickens had done Dr. Strangelove. Harvey Korman was like a well-established like comedic guy. Madeline Kahn had been around. So, we saw Madeline Kahn 2 years before in What's Up, Doc, the movie we both like. You remember she's like the wife in that movie, that's like kind of always getting strung behind in that movie, left in the hotel room and whatnot. You have like Mel Brooks playing the multiple roles as he always does. He's playing the governor, and he's also playing the Yiddish chief, like speaking Yiddish. It's just so wacky. But yeah, I mean, it's just
badges.
Yeah, right. No, it's great, and I just think this movie's a blast, man. I just think it's so much fun.
No, I really enjoy this one. Like this might be just behind Young Frankenstein
Sure.
for me as far as Mel Brooks goes. Probably because I'm not as into westerns. It's
Okay.
just not a genre that I that I go to. But I do love comedies. I love parody, and I think this might be, as far as parodies go, his
Yeah.
best, because I think this one leans more into the parody than Young Frankenstein does. Where I think Young Frankenstein, you could just call it, it's a horror comedy. I
Yes.
don't not really a parody. Where I think this one is spoofing on westerns, and from what I hear, doing it really well.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, I love the lead performance here. Well, yeah, I always you just said it, like Cleavon Little.
Cleavon Little.
I
Yeah.
think he's fantastic. I wonder how different the movie would have been if Richard Pryor had
Yeah, I think it would just
performed
feel
the
like a
role.
different movie because I feel like Pryor's his comedic sensibilities are a little bit different. I think he's a little more
Yeah,
like outlandish and bigger, to a
yeah,
degree. I think Cleavon pulls it back a little bit and is a little more subtle with the comedy. He has like the wacky moments, like when he does the candygram and whatnot,
I
like he's a
love
little more,
that.
that's so much fun. Yeah. A candygram for Mongo. Candygram for
Mongo
Mongo.
like candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mongo's a great character too.
No, manga. That's Alex Karras, who was a football player, by the way. So he's a
Mm,
massive dude in real life. So it makes
yeah,
sense that he's playing manga. I mean, oh my god, he punches a horse. Like it's so awesome. He rides in town on a bull. It's so great.
Mel Brooks
Despite
just didn't care with this movie, did he?
no, it's just
Like,
like again, I like those movies that just take chances and go all out with the humor. He's not afraid. I mean, I know some people are shocked when they go in this movie and they're like dropping N bombs stuff, and I'm not going to say it on here, obviously, but like they're dropping N bombs. But the people, you have to realize, the people who are saying that sort of stuff and who are being that crass are the townspeople who are either or the bad guys. So it's either the villains doing it or it's the townspeople who they flat out call morons in this movie. That Waco kid, he's like, you have to remember they're just simple-minded folks, morons. And that was a real laugh, by the way, that they left in the movie when Bart laughs at that when he says morons. That was an actual blooper. They just left it in because I just thought it was
right.
funny. But yeah, I mean, you have to realize that's part of the commentary. It's like the buffoons of the town and the villains are the ones doing that. The heroes, like the Gene Wilder, doesn't see that. He doesn't, he just sees Bart for who he is, which is just like a good guy. And yeah, he sees past all that. So that stuff is shocking when you first see it, but it's really funny. And that's kind of how people probably would talk as far as talk to a black sheriff, back then.
In 1874.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like in Django when when Django's like riding the horse into town and people are staring at him because they've never seen,
Right.
one of his kind on a horse, essentially, like it's the same thing. But yeah, the townspeople are buffoons and they play with that and their prejudices. And yeah, it's just good. But then you get like scenes with Mel Brooks as the governor where he's just like, he's constantly just more looking at his secretary than like paying attention to his job and doing his job in his boxers, but he's got like the suit coat on top, and he's just give the governor her own. Feel like it's just great. Like I love all that stuff. Yeah, it's so much fun. And I didn't get a harump out of that guy. Give the governor her up. Like it's quick and it's hilarious, and a lot of that stuff is improvised, so it makes it even funnier. Yeah, there's something about this movie just clicks with me. So if people like Young Frankenstein or Spaceballs or whatever more, I totally get it because I think all these movies are great. But yeah, it's the more the dad connection for me personally is
Right.
why I love Blazing Saddles. Like we just bonded
Yeah.
over this movie,
No, and I totally get that too. And yeah, like I
and
said,
we're probably gonna go see it when Fathom Events puts it out this September for the 50th
I,
anniversary. We're probably gonna go watch it together. Like we're gonna have to. So because it's great.
I would love to. These are two that I also would love to see
Yes.
on the big screen. So if they're showing at my theater, I might have to.
I think
I might have to
it
make it
should be
over
at your
there.
multiplex because I think the Blazing Saddle ones is one of those Fathom event things, so it should be like nationwide, for at
Okay.
least if your theater does those showings. But yeah, so I don't know if they're showing Young Frankenstein because that'd be interesting because I would go see that on the big screen as well. Because I just think that movie's actually really well shot too, some of the black and white like cinematography and whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I just dig Blazing Saddles, man. It just kicks for me and super entertaining. Again, I love comedies that 90 minutes, you're in and out. Like, he doesn't overstay the welcome, which is, I think Mel Brooks realized that. Young Frankenstein's a little longer. I felt a little bit of the length on this rewatch, like near the end. I was kind of like, not that I was like ready for it to wrap up, but I was starting to feel like, a little dragged out. But that's just like a personal thing.
Right.
But yeah, this movie just hits for me like on all cylinders, and I think it's just wonderful.
And and the end of this movie is just fantastic when
it's
wacky. They start doing the big fight and the fake rock wedge, and it it spills over into all the sets and then into the cafeteria. I love the shot where you just see Hitler and the guy playing Hitler in the background is doing the Hitler pose.
There's a quick line that's hilarious when they're sitting down to eat, and the Hitler guy, and then he's like, so you got much more time? He's like, they lose me after the bunker scene. That's a great joke because he shot himself in the bunker. So they realize, and it's like just some New York guy, they lose me after the bunker scene. That's great. God, when they bust into the Broadway show, and it's Dom DeLuise, who I love Dom DeLuise, and he's in a bunch of, Mel Brooks stuff, obviously. And yeah, as the director, watch me, girls, just throw out your hands, stick out your tush. No, it's great. Like, all that stuff's awesome. The big pie fight. They go. Harvey Korman goes to a theater and watches the movie, like Hedy Lamarr, and somebody says Headley, Headley, and that's a joke. There's a real actress named Hedy Lamarr. That's why he's Hedley Lamarr, and they keep getting it confused because everybody calls him Hedy. He goes Hedley because that's again old Hollywood joke that you don't understand until you're older. The Hedy and Hedley Lamarr things, but yeah, that stuff's great. It's so much fun. It goes off the rails, but in a good way. Yeah.
So, and then Young Frankenstein, like I said, it's my favorite Mel Brooks. But yeah, this most recent rewatch, Blazing Saddles is creeping up there because I do love that it leans more into the parody.
Yes.
Whereas Young Frankenstein is just a horror comedy based on Frankenstein, I feel.
Right. It's not as much like self-aware stuff as like Blazing Saddles, and it's more of just like the straight almost narrative. Like, if you do watch Frankenstein and then watch this movie, there are like some sort of parallels. The actual bringing to life scene is kind of similar. Give my creature life, like all that kind of stuff. It's very, very similar. But yeah, I mean, it's but tell me why this is your ultimate favorite out of his filmography.
I think also too is just because I love Gene Wilder, and he's front and center here. Not that Cleavon Little is bad. Like, Cleavon Little in Blazing Saddles is amazing, and I love like you said, the southernness to his performance, because he doesn't go over the top, where Gene Wilder kind of does in this movie sometimes. But I think I think the comedy is more subtle too. I think there's moments where it's clearly like parody comedy, like when they're eating the dessert and you hear the monster in the background, and Gene Wilder's like, do you like the dessert? Who are you talking to?
Yeah,
like, there's moments like that throughout.
There was a line in there that made me laugh way more than it probably should have, just because of the way Gene delivers it. Because when he does the thing, you were like enjoying the dessert, it's whatever. I didn't say anything. Well, why do you think that? Well, you were making yummy noises. and I don't know why that made me laugh out loud, but I was watching. It's the way that Gene Wilder says it. You were making yummy noises. It's just all in the delivery, like the way he says it. Yeah. It just kind of catches you off guard. Stuff like that I really, really laughed at this time. We're just there back and forth.
And I think he does that throughout the movie really well. I think there's what's his name? Why do I always forget the guy who plays the monster?
Oh, Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle, that's his name. I was like, it's not Weller. That is not his last name. That's somebody completely different. Peter Boyle, I think, plays the monster really well. I love the putting on the Ritz. Seeing the Ritz.
We did a thing at a wrestling show with my buddy Dagan Briggs, where he played a zombie for a little while as part of his character, and we did a thing where he was wrestling a guy named Maxwell Chicago, who was a Broadway guy, where they were doing a dance-off thing, and they played the "Putting on the Ritz" song, and he did the whole like Young Frankenstein, like like just the way he says it and all that. Oh, it's great. So yeah, it's an excellent sequence.
Yeah, that is great, and I love the like the callbacks to the Frankenstein movies, like the blind guy, and that stuff, when the monster, breaks in. I think that stuff's pretty funny. So there is a little bit of parody here.
You mean with Gene freaking Hackman as the blind guy?
Right.
Like, and you're just like, which I completely forgotten about. And I was like, oh, that's right. Gene Hackman plays the blind guy for like one scene in this movie. And he's really funny. Like, again, his comedic timing in this movie, I'm like, why didn't he do more comedies other than Welcome to Mooseport? Like, because
he did the Birdcage.
Yeah, he did the Birdcage. I mean, but like around this time, like he's really funny in the scene. Like he's got great comedic timing, just like with his physical comedy, like feeling all around him, and when he sets dude's thumb on fire, like and scares him and things like that. Like it's really, really good. And I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, he's very, very funny in that one scene.
Yeah. So I like that callback to kind of the Frankenstein movie. The stuff with the little girl. Oh, yeah. It's a good thing you put her to bed. I was dealing with and I love the German accents throughout the movie too.
Sure.
I think that's great. And I just think it's a really good Gene Wilder performance. Like he's over the top when he needs to be. I think like you had mentioned, just some of his line delivery is really good. Madeline Kahn is good as Elizabeth.
Terry Garr is so adorable in this movie. Like she's marriage material in this movie. Terry Garr as Inga. Like I forgot how like adorable she is in this movie. She's great. I thought she was awesome.
She's really good. Cloris Leachman, every time they say Graublucher and the horses just start neighing is pretty. I love that running gag throughout the movie.
I forgot the inspector stuff with Kenneth Mars. Dude, that first scene where he's like at that meeting and he just lights a cigarette and he's doing like the stuff with like the lining up his arm, just it finally gets to it. I was like, dude, I was dying of that stuff. That's great here. And do you know who that guy is, by the way, Jacob? He's a very famous voice actor as well later in his career. Kenneth Mars, the guy who plays the inspector, voiced King Triton in The Little Mermaid. And then he also voiced Grandpa in all the Land Before Time movies, like all of them.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did nothing like
Before Time.
Basically, from the 90s on, he was mostly a voice actor in his later years, and he did a lot of that stuff. Like he's also in The Producers. He's in a bunch of stuff in set, like other comedies and whatnot. But yeah, he was a character actor for a long, long time. He's in What's Up, Doc?
I was just looking at that, like another What's Up, Doc?
Connection there.
And one of the movies we covered last year, We're Back, a Dinosaur Story.
There you go. Yeah, but no, he voiced a ton of animated stuff. Like he became like basically an animated voice guy for a
which
long,
doesn't
long
surprise me.
Yeah, he's got a great voice.
I hear what you're saying too about the end. Like if this was a tight 90 minutes, kind of like Blazing Saddles, I would still be okay with that. But I still think, I think this movie has a good narrative throughout, and I don't know, like I love comedies that can just make me laugh out loud, but I also I don't know, I don't know why I choose Young Frankenstein over Blazing Saddles. I think it's just one that I've gone back to more, but like I said, after this rewatch, this back to back, I found myself laughing a little bit more during Blazing Saddles. So I don't know, maybe as like a spoof comedy, I would go Blazing Saddles, but like as a movie, I'm going Young. It's weird because I think they're both fantastic. And like you said, if you choose one of these, or even Spaceballs, which is kind of like the other favorite when it comes to Mel Brooks, like I get it. For him to release both of these in the same year is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like almost on the same level as Spielberg in '93. Let's be honest.
No, I mean, at least for comedies, like a
Yeah,
completely different genre. Yeah, to have two really good ones like right back to back, and then yeah, he even I was gonna say like, doesn't he do? Or did he take a break after that? I thought he might have taken a break like right after this. I was trying to see when the producers was, but I think that was
Producers was
67 or
68 or 69.
yeah, so that was earlier. And then I think does he take a break for a little? Oh, he does High Anxiety, I think, in like 77. Which is decent. It's all right. It's a nice little send up of like Vertigo and stuff. And then History of the World Part 1, which I revisited pretty recently, is a lot of fun. It's a lot of basically like little sketches kind of, strung together, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I want to get to some more of his movies. Like I haven't seen High Anxiety or History of the World.
Yeah.
So I'd love Robin Hood Men in Tights is pretty good, but I've only seen it the one time, so I'd like to go back and revisit that. I've seen the remake of The Producers, which I really enjoy, and he was a writer and producer on that one. But he obviously didn't direct it. That's another one. It's another one where we make a remake and they add to the story, because I think the original is like an hour and 20 or something like that, and this one's pushing 2 hours. I was like, oh, they really added a lot to this movie. So yeah, I started watching the original Producers, and I think I started it at like 10 o'clock at night. And so I ended up falling asleep while watching it. And then I think they took it off HBO Max, so I don't know where to find it anymore.
Oh darn!
So, you know me, I'm a musicals guy, so I love really like that. But yeah, no, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, two really fantastic comedies, and yeah, like if these are your favorites, I get it. If Spaceballs is, I get it. Maybe one of these days, like we'll have to do like a Mel Brooks episode, and just kind of like getting some of his other stuff, because I really want to see some of his like I want to say less known, but like maybe they're just less known to me.
No, I mean I think some of them are, because Men in Tights, as far as his later ones, is probably the more beloved like one that a lot of people really like, again because it's very silly and it's got a good cast. Dracula Dead and Loving It kind of gets forgotten amongst that like 90s Leslie Nielsen type stuff, because it gets kind of mixed in with his other, parody movies he was doing around the time, Spy Hard and Wrongfully Accused and whatnot. It's just a Mel Brooks. And again, it's fun to a degree. It's like not amazing, but it's okay. I haven't seen Life Stinks. I've seen High Anxiety. I've not watched Silent Movie. I have a box set Blu-ray that's out of print now of all of his movies on Blu-ray.
Nice.
All of them all together. Other than Dracula Dead and Loving It, because that was a different studio for whatever reason, but I have it on DVD. But yeah, it's like I haven't seen 12 Chairs, which is another kind of I haven't seen that one. So I have a few blind spots for Brooks, but I've seen most of them. But I think most people would agree that like this double shot of Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein is like kind of peak Mel Brooks. And then he has like good stuff after that people like. But I would say critically, like this is probably his peak with these two movies. And sort of when he was really like in his stride, like just hitting on all cylinders. And then it kind of is like mixed, I guess, after that, as far as how much people like him.
Yeah, because after these two, I'm like, I wanna check out some more of it, because it's really those two, Spaceballs and then Men in Tights, like I said. So
yeah, History of the World Part 1 and High Anxiety are both fun, because I revisited them very recently. And again, if you're in the mood for like just silly comedies, like High Anxiety is very silly and just not like lackadaisical as far as like lazy. It's just like it's very loose and goofy. And yeah, Mel's kind of like the lead of that. And then History of the World Part 1 is an easy watch, because it's literally like it's almost like a bunch of segments of just a segment about the cavemen, and there's a segment about ancient Rome, and there's a segment about this and that, but again, it has a lot of those Mel Brooks veteran actors that you see in Spaceballs or you see in Young Frankenstein, all these people like he uses a lot over and over again. And yeah, it's very breezy to watch, and it's pretty fun.
All right. So yeah, cool. Hopefully they're streaming somewhere. So because even if we don't do an episode about Mel Brooks, I'm still gonna watch his movies.
Sure.
I think we still have to do a Tarantino episode. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I'll give me an excuse to finish his filmography off.
Sure.
But we're in the anniversary series mode, and yeah, these years have been kind of stacked. That's why we decided to, instead of doubling down on the decade, we're going 1 year at a time. And so in a couple weeks we'll be covering 1979, and I believe the movies that we have chosen for that one. I'm probably going to forget one. So if you can,
I have them right next to me if you
cool.
need them. Yeah, we chose a kind of a music movie. You know, not really a musical per se, but a music movie. Rock and Roll High School has PJ Souls in it, and kind of a Ramones soundtrack all throughout. One that I saw at like a convention years ago, but I haven't revisited it in a long time. So, but I remember it being a breezy good time. Yeah. So Rock and Roll High School, Apocalypse Now, which is a favorite of mine, and one of those all timers. Alien, which is in theaters right now, so I'm hoping to do my rewatch in theaters if I can squeeze it. It's got weird times. It's only showing like every day at like 2:00 and 8:45. It's weird. So I'll see if I can make one of those work. We'll see. I may or may not. We'll see. But otherwise, I have it on Blu-ray. Of course I do. Yeah. And then The Jerk, which is a movie that I revisited not too long ago, but I'll watch again when we did 70s comedies on Tearacre. But you said that's a blind spot.
It'll be the first time for me. I've been looking for an excuse to watch it.
Yeah, no, The Jerk is great. Yeah, with Steve Martin. I think you really enjoyed it. It held up pretty well. And it makes sense also. M. Emmett Walsh, the character actor who just passed away recently, who's very recognizable, and not one of those character actors who was born 60. Kind of like, just one of those guys who always kind of looked old, even in these movies where he's younger. He's kind of the main guy, kind of go like chasing him through the movie. So he's fun in that. So, so a nice blend of stuff. We got sort of a music, movie, we got a comedy, we got a sci-fi movie, and then we got kind of a heavier, like, sort of war drama. So yeah, nice blend of stuff to cover. In a couple weeks.
It'll be a nice foursome of movies in a couple weeks, and then
we'll decide off air probably after this episode what we're going to do for 84, because probably need to start mapping that out as well.
I've actually got I was at work and the kids were napping, so I was like, let me see what we got here, and just kind of mapped out my choices for 84 to 2019. Some of them were really hard because there are a lot of good movies in some of these years. Thankfully, we've covered quite a few 94 movies already this year. Actually, just by luck, like, so those were off the table. But it's like, 94 was a stacked year. 94. I was just talking about like
for future reference
overall.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like when I got to 94, I was like, oh, good thing we talked about that movie already. Good thing we talked about that movie already. I've talked to death about that movie. We don't have to do that one. And we'll start mapping that out. But other than that, what else do you got going on?
No, I mean, another movie that's, we talked about 99 celebrating anniversary, The Mummy. I'll be talking about that quite a bit over the next week or so, because I've got like some mummy related stuff coming out, and it's fine because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I believe on Ryan Cam channel, it's our friend Jacob Cameron's channel, he just hit me up out of nowhere, and he's going to talk about The Mummy this Wednesday, so on his channel. So he invited me to come on and talk The Mummy, and I'm always happy to talk about The Mummy, obviously. And then on May 11th, so it might be the day we do our next podcast at 7:00 that night, we'll be over on Ryan Permison's And I Quote channel. We'll be doing the official anniversary watch along for that. So I will have probably seen that. That'll be like my third time watching it in about 2 weeks, which I'm totally fine with because The Mummy rules. So yeah, it's totally fine. But yeah, I mean, other than that, just everything that's here on the Movie Hero Network, obviously, just co-hosting all the tier rankers and tournament fights and lonely marks and all that good stuff. So the usual array of things.
And in about just under an hour and a half now, over on the Take 3 channel with our good buddy Malcolm Lay, we'll be doing Rankin. We'll be doing the top 12 Robin Williams movies which will be
Flubber #1, right?
You know what? If we want a fun number 12.
No.
No.
RV, Father's Day? No? Okay. Jack? No?
Obviously,
All right.
obviously, Old Dogs is gonna
Of course.
get in there.
That's sweet.
No, I have my number 1, but we'll see what other people. I can't remember who's on the episode with me because, like I told you before we went live, until yesterday, I forgot I was on the episode. Somebody sent a message, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's tomorrow."
You'll find out when you get there. Go look at the group and see who's in that group. Yeah.
No, that should be a fun time. Always a fun time on Rankum. And then I don't think I'm on anything else on the channel this week other than Lonely Marks, where apparently we're going to be ripping off the Rankum idea with Malcolm's blessing. Yeah. Of course. Talking top 12, or I guess we'll be doing our top 12 wrestlers of the 80s and before.
Yeah.
Where I will just be doing, all right, I take your word for it. Because I'm much more of an 80s and after wrestling.
I'm happy to talk old school wrestling because I love 80s wrestling. So yeah, I'm happy to talk 80s and some of these people. And I may advocate for a few that maybe you'll just have to trust me, Jacob. Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. If it's 80s and before, like most of mine will be strictly 80s and not much like 70s and stuff like that. But I can talk 80s. That's not a problem. But it's like.
So when I bring up Gorgeous George, you'll just have to take my word for it.
I'll take your word for it.
All right.
I understand the legacy that Bruno Sammartino has, but just didn't watch a lot of his matches and stuff like that.
No, so. He's probably going to come up, and you're just going to have to say yes because he was champion for like 10 years.
Your 2,800 day reign. Yes, you are going to make the list.
Yes.
That'll be Thursday, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. So be on the lookout for that if you are a wrestling fan, or if you're not a wrestling fan. There's a lot of movie related content on the Movie Hero Network as well. So and diving into a little bit of TV as well. So a little bit of everything going on the channel. Tournament fights, tier ranker, podcast about movies. Lonely Marks, seen and heard,
which we're in the middle of tournament stuff going on, so you can check out all these tournament matches. We've had some good tournament, like really good tournament matches that have been barn burners. So that we'll do another exhibition in May, which will be we just did the rotten movie exhibition, the bad movies, the movies under like 10%. But this time we'll do the complete opposite. It'll be all movies 90% above Rotten Tomatoes, so like the really, really good stuff. And I think. Is Young Frankenstein one of those? That could be eligible.
94%.
There you go. So that's eligible. So maybe you'll see a clip from Young Frankenstein.
Maybe before he pulls the clips, a couple people will go on and give some positive reviews for Blazing Saddles, because I was surprised to see that it was at 89%. I was like, come on. 11% of people were like, no, I don't like this. Come on,
you could get the original Frankenstein, which I think was one of those rare 100% movies. So there could be a clip of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be a fun time. And then Austin and Richie, another friend of the channel, will be co-hosting Wheel of Movies from now on. They just did X2. That's on the channel, so go check that out.
Was last week. So they'll probably do another one, not this week, maybe the week after that, something like that. Yeah.
We like doing things every other week here. It gives us time to
watch stuff.
But no, this was a fun time. I always love the anniversary series because we get to champion movies that we really love, but also fill in some of those blind spots that we have. So this is and this one's going to take a little bit longer too because we're going year by year this time. So but it's going to be a good time. So strap in. What's your favorite movie from 1974? Let us know in the comments. If you watched live, thank you. If you're watching on the replay, also thank you. So be sure to hit that like button, share, subscribe, tell your friends if they like movies as well. We just love talking movies. So even if you don't, we're still gonna do this. We just like talking movies with each other.
Yeah, we
have and everybody else on the channel. So yeah, in about an hour, go over to Take 3, watch us rank some Robin Williams, or go watch some replays of other things on the channel. And we'll see you guys in about 2 weeks when we cover 1979. So again, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.